Russia is once again pushing its hardline demands in the ongoing war against Ukraine, insisting that any peace negotiations must include international recognition of its control over Crimea and the four Ukrainian regions it claims to have annexed: Donetsk, Luhansk, Zaporizhzhia, and Kherson. In an interview published on April 28th with Brazilian outlet O Globo, Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov emphasized that these territorial claims, along with a series of sweeping political demands, are non-negotiable conditions for any talks. Despite these areas being only partially occupied, and the annexations being widely denounced as illegitimate following sham referenda in 2022, Russia continues to assert its maximalist positions. Lavrov reiterated additional demands that mirror Moscow's original conditions when it launched its full-scale invasion, banning Ukraine from NATO membership, enforcing demilitarization, altering Ukraine's constitution to elevate Russian language and cultural rights, and lifting the country's ban on direct talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin. While Ukraine has firmly ruled out any territorial concessions or a reduction of its armed forces, discussions have surfaced that the United States, under President Donald Trump's leadership, might consider recognizing Russia's de facto control of Crimea and parts of the occupied territories as part of a broader peace framework, though a full withdrawal of Ukrainian forces from these regions remains off the table. Lavrov also called for the removal of Western sanctions, the annulment of international lawsuits and arrest warrants against Russian officials, and the return of frozen Russian assets, some of which have already been repurposed by the West to support Kyiv, such as the G7's approval of nearly $50 billion in loans secured by interest from these funds. Meanwhile, Lavrov accused Ukraine of lacking the political will for peace and suggested that the U.S. has begun to better understand Russia's positions, signaling a perceived shift under President Trump's foreign policy approach. However, Russia's ongoing military offensives, continued bombardments of civilian infrastructure, including a deadly attack on Kyiv on April 24th that killed 13 people, and repeated violations of a partial ceasefire protecting Ukraine's energy grid, reveal a stark contrast between its words and actions. Since the so-called energy truce brokered in Saudi Arabia in late March, Russia has reportedly violated the agreement over 30 times, targeting critical power infrastructure across Ukraine. As the conflict drags on, with both sides holding firm to fundamentally opposing demands, the prospects for meaningful peace talks remain deeply uncertain.